So today we're going to do a bit of maintenance on this 228F. I always try to call them 288s. They're not. That's a different lantern. This is actually the one that started it all, and this is kind of my beater lantern. So I picked this up for 10 bucks, and it was kind of leaned over. We've talked about it before, but basically this one lives on my back porch, and it's what provides the light for barbecuing and grilling and all that other kind of good stuff. So it just sits there and it gets in the smoke and all sorts of, it doesn't get any kind of special treatment. I actually use it to burn all of the weird gas that comes out of the lanterns that I find. So there's like the fuel that's been in here right now is probably about 6-year-old gasoline, and before that it was like a mix of, I think, probably maybe some kerosene, maybe some Coleman fuel, maybe a little bit of everything else. I have no idea, but we just run it in there anyway because they're pretty easy to service if things go wrong. This was the one we used to do the sparker install video. So yeah, so I've noticed lately that I've had to run a lot of pressure on this thing to get it to light. So I'm thinking there's been like I said, a couple of tanks of really weird stuff that went through it. Honestly, I really don't know what was in it. It could have been lamp oil in there for all I know, because it was kind of getting a little bit hard to start. But the good thing is that the pricker still moves up and down very, very simply, very easy, no restrictions. Everything moves fine, pumps fine, everything works great. It's just that it just seems to have to pump it up really high. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and pull the generator out of here, which was a new one that I installed, and I want to see if there's a bunch of junk in there that I need to clear out or not. And so maybe there won't be anything in there, so it'll be a learning experience for all of us. So which is why you get to see the video. So we'll just kind of start here with this. This is yeah, the top on this doesn't even stay on there. It's broken several welds. It's all kinds of greasy and messy and nasty because it gets all of the cooking smoke and vapors and stuff, so the hat's all covered with grease. It's really kind of a mess. But everything else seems to be working pretty good. I set this down here. Really struggling with allergies today, so hopefully I don't make too many weird snorting noises that are unpleasant. So if I do, I'll see if I can't mute them down in post-production here, and see what we got. So the trick with this will be, how do I get the generator out of here without wrecking the mantles? One is, it's pretty clear, and I don't think I'll hit it, but the other one is kind of close. So we'll see what happens when I get this up in here. If I can get this out. Oh yeah, we're doing pretty good. I don't bump into it with my other finger. So yep, smells like ratty old gasoline, which is exactly what's in there. So we'll see if we can get this paper to come out, which it feels like it kind of wants to. Spring wants to come out. You could probably get that out of here with a pair of tweezers. So, okay. The paper, the cardboard tube, oh, there it goes. Now it's moving. So maybe I can pull everything out now. Well, it's not as froze up as I thought it might be, so I guess that's a good sign. The cardboard tube definitely moved, so I'm not sure why it's being difficult. So I'm see if I just can't get a grip on that and pull it out. There we go. So there we go. The spring is pretty much completely clear except for one little tiny, tiny fleck of carbon on it. This is cardboard tube, looks fine. It's completely clear. It's obviously discolored and doesn't smell the greatest, which is to be expected. And then what I'm going to do, I thought I had a, this is the thing, these newer 220 generators, they have a different nozzle on them than the older ones. So the older ones are really much smaller, and yeah, so I don't have, yeah, I do. I think I got one right up here. Yeah. So like the older style, this is from like a 200A, but you can see how small the gas tip is, and the new ones have got like a really big gas tip in comparison. So hopefully that's not too close to be able to see the difference there. So yeah, so the newer ones, they use a different size, and as a result, sometimes when people suggested, hey, you know, you can change these things around and you can run kerosene in them. Well, I was using the gas tip from a 201 and a 220 generator, and you can't do that anymore because the sizes have changed unless you find an old 220 generator. So yeah, this doesn't want to come out, but I'm not really too worried about it. Excuse me. Because it's definitely clear. I can see light at the end of the tunnel there, so I don't think it really needs any kind of servicing or anything else like that. So I guess it's just probably the fuel in there and its age requires a bit more pressure to get it up there, because maybe it's not as volatile as it used to be. Entirely possible. So what we're gonna do is this will just make this a really quick video then, huh? Because we're just going to reassemble this. Of course, trying not to wreck the tip of the needle here. Get that back inside.
I don't know that one.
Oh, Alexa, be quiet. I don't even know why Alexa decides to go off sometimes. You know, I have it. It's here, kind of cool, because I'll use it to, you know, if I'm trying to do like some math, and I just ask her to use it as a calculator. And we also use it to communicate amongst the house, but sometimes it just kind of wakes up and says, hey, what do you want? And I'm like, oh, I don't want anything, because no one's talking to you, you crazy lady. So anyway, that's all right. Well, we're going to go ahead and put this in, again, hopefully trying not to wreck the mantle, which I feel like I'm on the verge of doing. I'm going to use my tweezers here to kind of get up in here so I can drop this into the hole, hopefully. Of course, it's spun off to the side. And then I'm gonna pull this down, drop the generator, and then we are good to go. So that was interesting. That was a good little check, because people say, oh my God, running pump gas in here will really, really wreck these things. It'll ruin them, something terrible. Now, I will agree that running the ethanol blended fuel probably will cause some corrosion in the fuel air tube. And this is actually what's in here now is ethanol blended fuel. Luckily, in Texas, we have this place called Buc-ee's, and Buc-ee's has pumps that sell ethanol-free fuel. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to dump this fuel here, and because, well, for one, it's old and nasty, and I was just burning it. And you can definitely tell it's ethanol in there, because you can definitely smell that ethanol. The ethanol free really does smell different. It smells like old gas used to smell, and it doesn't smell anywhere near as offensive as the new stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try getting rid of the funky fuel that's in here, and we'll go burn this in, I don't know, string trimmer, lawnmower. I burned a bunch of it in the wife's car, although by the shade of this stuff here, yeah, I don't think that's a really good idea. It looks pretty bad. because we usually keep fuel on hand for generators. So this is what was in there. That's pretty, yeah, that's pretty yellow. So, and just pretty smelly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get my ethanol-free fuel and refill it with that. And then we're going to see how it burns on the ethanol-free fuel, because hopefully that should be better. In the meantime, I'm going to pour this off. So, yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. So just hang on a minute, and we'll be right back. Okay, so what we have here is some good old ethanol-free gasoline like Mom and Dad used to use, or actually even me. So you can see that it's still yellow, obviously, but it also has a really light kind of hazy blue tint to it. And it does smell completely different. First of all, it's not old and nasty, so that's a step in the right direction. But the other thing is without the ethanol in there and wherever else they put in there, it definitely does have a lighter smell. And it really smells like, well, obviously like gas used to smell way back when. And so since this just came right out of the pump, it's clean. So we're just going to dump her right in. Gently pour to leave any kind of debris on the bottom. Yeah, it just smells, it really, you don't really realize it, you know, having used ethanol or gas with 10% ethanol in it for many years now, obviously. But when you actually get some of the gas that smells like it used to, it's like, wow, hey, I remember that. So that's kind of cool. Right, so let's see how this thing lights. And we'll go from there. Okay. This is obviously going to take a while since we had it completely open. Here she comes. Oh, yeah. It's looking pretty good. Looking real good, actually. A little bit more pumpage. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's looking really nice. Let's get the glow back on it. You can see there's a bunch of moth prints on there where they've been banging into it. But get this on there. Yeah, I think that was, yeah, I definitely didn't, I'm getting a lot of light out of it, and I didn't have to pump it up nearly as high or as hard as I had before. It seemed like I was always just like really just pumping the dickens out of it really, really strongly. But yeah, so old fuel doesn't want to burn. What a shock. So yeah, that other stuff will go in the other kind of appliances around, and I've got a few more cans of the stuff that I put into old Coleman cans, because I figure, well, I'll just go ahead and use it there. But I think we're going to go ahead and relegate that to getting put in the vehicle and burned off that way, because yeah, it's just not suitable for this. And when you mix it with a fair bit of gas, you know, half a tank of gas, and you put a gallon of that stuff in there, not going to cause any problems. It'll be fine. So just seeing, I got a little bit of moisture around the around the packing nut here. So the packing needs to be tightened a little bit, but I'm not having any good luck finding the appropriate size of this. So we're gonna have to go to the adjustable job here, but I think it needs just maybe like a quarter turn, just to, yeah, just about like that, and that should feel a little better. Yeah, maybe a little more. There we go, that feels better. But yeah, so it's working great, looks good, does what we want it to do. It always takes a few whacks to start with the sparker. Obviously the fuel is not nearly as volatile as the Coleman fuel is, and also there was old stuff that was still in that tube. So once that kind of got blown out of there, it was looking pretty good. But yeah, this is great. And the thing about it is that when these things are running, the smell on them is just basically the same as you'd get out of Coleman fuel. It's no different. You don't have like a gasoline smell or something like that. So the only time you'll notice that is obviously on startup, where you're getting some raw fuel coming out, and also on shutdown, where some of the fuel is it's still hot and maybe it's not being completely burned, so you'll smell some of that kind of coming out. But yeah, basically no reason to, in my opinion, not to run pump gas in these things, because yeah, I mean, like I said, I haven't run as many through it as Frank. I think Frank's up to like 40 tanks in this 200 days that he's doing a trial test on. And they're still running. He says they're getting a little harder to write, but they're still running. He says both the Coleman fuel and the one using pump gas is getting a little harder to start. So my thing with this is that I think that if you stick with ethanol-free fuel, I think you'll be able to run these things totally fine, and you won't have any of that problem of the corrosion of the copper parts in there. Because I have seen some, when they come out, they're all green and nasty, and that's because of that alcohol in there acts on that, and you start getting that kind of stuff. So as my neighbor starts up his pressure washer, this is probably as good a time as any to bring this one to a close. But yeah, there you go. Works fine. Even all that weird unknown fuel that I put through there, I couldn't see any evidence of any buildup whatsoever. So yeah, if you're not wanting to do this all the time, remember that you can definitely use pump gas as a emergency measure in that case. So if you run, you know, 2 or 3 tanks through it, you're not going to see anything. You're absolutely not going to see anything. I did not see anything, even running with all that mystery stuff through here. So yeah, you always have that thing. So if you're in a situation where you got no lights, you got no power, you got no way to get fuel, and you're out of fuel, man, if you siphon some out of your car, you can have light, you can have heat, you can start your stoves, you can cook, you can do whatever you need to do, and don't worry about it injuring your lanterns in any way. You'd have to run probably, well, Frank's running like 40 tanks and he doesn't have any problems. So at least 40 tanks before you have to think about doing anything. So thanks for watching, and hey, I really appreciate all the subscribers and joining and stuff like that. And if you like what you see, go ahead and subscribe and hit the little bell there. It'll give you an indication of when I post new content, which I do basically every Monday. And that way you'll be able to see what's going on and kind of help support the channel, help it grow. So thanks so much, and we'll catch you next time. Until then, keep them lit.